Hi Alexa, this is David. I hope it's okay if I answer via video. It's quicker and easier for me, and also I provide fuller answers this way as opposed to just typing it out. So this is the first time I'm reading your questions, so these are my first earnest, honest responses. Um, First question, briefly give some background information about Circa. How did it start? Where did the idea come from? What was the process like? How was Circa changed or developed since the start? Circa got started. This guy Ben Ha, who's the founder of I Can Has Cheeseburger. If you ever see funny cats online that have captions, he started something called. He has a background a little bit in journalism, and he started something called the Moby Dick Project, which is sort of pre-Circa, but he sort of talked about his initial issues with news, especially breaking news. It started around the tsunami, the Japanese tsunami, which is 2011, because he was following it, and every day he would read new articles, but the articles would always start with information he already knew, right? Yes, I know that there is a tsunami. I don't care about that. I want the information I don't know, and that was a really tough problem. And then he met Matt Galligan, the CEO, and the two of them started talking about it. And Matt is, I think, the person who started really focusing on mobile as the sort of way to go about this, and sort of use that as a way into the problem. I came on in April of last year, so we didn't launch until October of last year. So I came on before launch, and was sort of like the non-technical hire, or the first person on the editorial side. Again, the problem was this idea of, how can we respect the reader? How can we deliver news in a way that really rethinks everything from the ground up, right? No sacred cows. Um, and the process for that has been one of learning. I think a lot has changed or developed, but not the initial quest, to use a sort of like epic term, which is again just this idea of like, how does the process of news change if the organization producing it is both half a technology company as much as it is an editorial company, and also not producing content in the format of really articles, right? That's sort of like what allowed us to get around this problem. Is we don't write articles, we create storylines with these points, and we can update and keep track of who's read what points and update each point and things like that. So that has developed, and we've refined it, and sort of like played with the user experience thing here and there, but in some respects that stayed core. Now we're just sort of like pushing that out further to things like the web experience. How is Circa different from other sites like this? What makes it stand out? To my knowledge, at least, there are no other organizations that can sort of do what we do in terms of the ability to follow a story. So on Circa, you can follow a story, as news breaks, and then as more information comes out, we can keep track of what you have and haven't read. So we can treat a returning reader differently than a brand new reader. And to my knowledge, at least, there is no other organization that can kind of really do that. So that is, I think, unique. That combined with most organizations don't really produce content for a mobile experience. They produce content for the web, and then at best, it's HTML5, and it'll sort of shrink down, but it's still really not really designed for a mobile. It's just sort of adapts to a mobile experience. Third question, what is your main audience? Who are your target customers? How many customers do you have? So in terms of target customers, I actually don't think of it as a demographic so much as situational. So if you think about it, everybody, not everybody, but anybody with a smartphone, there's a range of demographics there, but really they use it in various circumstances. I know a lot of people say it's the first thing that they reach for in the morning, and they check email and they check news. Some people rely on it when they're on a bus or in commute, things like that. So really what we're picturing are people who are kind of on the go, people who have 10 minutes or 15 minutes here or there and want to be able to catch up on the news. So we think of it more as like a situational kind of demographic, or like people in circumstances, rather than like, 30-year-old male, whatever. Or at least that's how I think about it. It's for all people, but all people who sort of are on the go and don't have that much time to sort of sit down and read a New Yorker article. How many customers do you have? I don't think that the official, I don't even know a total number. I would say that I know we have downloads in the hundreds of thousands. Um, how does Circa gain revenue? What is your relationship with opinions about advertisements and advertisers? So right now, we actually don't have a revenue model enacted, which should say we're angel funded, right? So we've been funded by a lot of different people giving chunks of money, but don't worry, those people all have plenty of it, so we're using some of it. Um, that said, that's not really a business model. That is a way to get started. Eventually, what we are going to have is kind of a mobile advertising. We're not going to do banner ads. We know that. There are several different revenue streams that we can enact. I think the one that makes... Oh my God, did this really not... Oh wait, am I looking at the wrong thing? I'm still recording. Good. I think the one that we're most eager about is sometimes called native advertising or social advertising. But the idea is that an advertiser would sponsor a storyline, and it would be transparent that it is sponsored, but it would behave the same way as our other articles, which means someone could follow it. So this is, of course, an example. Levi's Jeans sponsors a story, and they tell you about the history of Levi's, and it was, invented in San Francisco, and it's gold rush, blah, blah, blah. And then you follow the story, and when the new line of Levi's jeans comes out, they'll send a push notification, and anybody who's following that story gets alerted, and that's so great. What is my relationship or thoughts about advertising and advertisers? I think money has to be made. Advertisers are willing to pay to have a relationship with your audience. And again, normally that relationship just means eyeballs and banner ads, and that's not very valuable, whereas we're actually going to create a relationship with sort of a person who decides to follow it, and it'll go to their phone. But what is our relationship? I think it's important to be transparent. I think that's the bottom line. If someone can't tell that it is an advertisement, that's a problem. Other than that, I think all forms of money and journalism, there's always a little bit of an issue. But that's just the nature of the game. Is businesses have to sell something, and what news organizations sell is relationship to readers. Next question: what is your business model like? So I think I addressed that a little bit. If you have other questions about it, just let me know. And second to last, what are their future plans for Circa? So actually, if you wait, this Thursday, I think you're on the East Coast, so it might be later in the day, we're going to be releasing some new things, which will sort of hint a little bit towards the future of Circa. But if you think about it, we're in a really good and interesting position. We can address sort of like, for example, wearable technology, right? People in Google Glass or phones, right? We are, again, I think in a better position to sort of like adapt or evolve to those than most news organizations. If you have any statistics or somewhere I can find them on your audience and advertising, etc. Unfortunately, we do not have any statistics about our audience or advertising. Again, we have not enacted any advertising. We are completely angel funded. If you go to the Circa a page /about, you'll see some of the advertisers. Some of the investors. Yeah, I mean, we are going to be raising a little bit more money, and with that, hopefully get a runway where we can then start to build out that advertising model. So hopefully this answers all your questions. If you have any more, feel free to let me know. Okay, bye-bye.